Institutions of higher learning are bracing themselves for an influx of new students seeking space to further their studies. In December, President Jacob Zuma announced funding concessions for poor and working class students. The EFF seized on this opportunity and have urged qualifying students to flood tertiary institutions with walk-in registrations. Many prospective students have been going to the institutions to seek admissions, and universities have beefed up security on campuses, and many have said they would not consider late registrations. This past week, prospective students were injured at Capricorn TVET College in Limpopo. The Unisa campus in Pretoria was shut down, and there were minor scuffles in the Free State and at the University of Johannesburg. Let's now welcome in studio Peter Keetse, the EFF Students Command, and SASCO's Fasiha Hassan. A very good afternoon to you too. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
I'm going to start with you, Hassan. Are you happy with the registration process so far?
Look, I think that each university has its own process. Some of them are doing better than others. I think TUT's reopened sort of what we'd call late applications, but VITs in a UCT, for example, are still employing the older tactics. So it's a bit of both. I don't think we can say we're totally happy, but I think that some institutions are trying, but I think in the overall we're going to have to say not at the moment, not yet.
All right, Peter, is the EFF Student Command satisfied?
Well, I think we should take this opportunity to report back to our constituency with the programs we had from the 3rd of January since the beginning of Sizofunda Ngengane campaign. I'm sure you know what that does that mean correctly. So, so yes, we did have several institutions that obviously did not allow walk-ins, that obviously were using online system to have these registration processes. And as a result, we have seen University of Johannesburg, their system crashing. TUT, their system is not working at all. And obviously, we must also commend and congratulate fighters at the University of South Africa, who pressurized management, management that was not eager to actually open those walk-ins. And fortunate enough, tomorrow, they are encouraging walk-ins. They are saying late applications, people must come and apply there for the first time in that institution. But overall, the registration process, we're not happy, particularly at TVET colleges, because the agreement that we have had with the minister, Deputy Minister of Education, Higher Education, was that there won't be any registration fee paid at the TVET level. But we are surprised we are getting constant reports to say students, they demand money from them, from this management of TVET. And we see that as a very counter-revolutionary move. Hence, we have called for shutting down of some of these TVET colleges where they are really adamant in pushing our people pay. One of those colleges, obviously, is Central Johannesburg College. They are here, 8 of the campuses in Gauteng. They are demanding our students to pay ridiculous funding there, and they qualify. That is what is really angering us. These students, they really deserve to be, NSFAS bazaars.
Let's focus more on the walk-in applications. You know, some institutions have made it very clear that they will not allow walk-in applications. So here comes the EFF, here comes SASCO imposing and then interfering and encroaching on institutional processes. In the long run, the students become the pawns.
Remember, there was a view by the University of South Africa, what's to say, I think on the 2nd of January, they said we're not going to allow walk-ins in any university, right? Well, we released a statement and we held a press conference as the student command, and we said every university must allow these walk-ins, right? And we even gave them.
Why?
Obviously,
maybe I should come in here now, just give a little bit of in context, right? Walk-ins are not a new concept. This is not something that's only happening in the year of 2018, right? We also need to understand that this is a particularly extraordinary year given the announcement by the president of free higher education. So you need to understand that quite a number of potential students only discovered their ability to access higher education what was on the 16th of December 2017. So that's the one element. But the second one is that with the right kinds of systems, the walk-in process can in fact be very successful and beneficial. I myself, you'll get a student who'll come in, you look at their matric marks, excellent marks for maths and science, we can get them into an engineering. And this is a student who would have actually have been on the streets, would have been exposed to a number of problematic elements, and yet here they are now in the classroom. So I think we need to change our approach to walk-ins. This is not the devil. I think people think, wow, oh my God, walk-ins are such a terrible thing. They're not. Our focus should be on getting as many young people into the classroom and off the streets.
That is
and
correct.
Ultimately, that's what we're trying to do.
You are so correct. Fair enough. But then my point is you are encroaching on institutional processes. Every university, every institution has got a process that needs to be followed.
All right, so walk-ins, like I said, they're not new, right? Universities will quietly have a walk-in process every single year. So it's not like we're actually encroaching on an entirely different thing. And what I am saying, and I think what my colleagues is also trying to say, is if you had dedicated IT centers, if you had a late application process where people go to a particular space, even if it's not online, the fact of the matter is that there are spaces at universities. Very often people get 2 or 3 sort of applications into different degrees, they decline 2, they have 1. Therefore, 2 spaces open up. So this is not encroaching on a university system that doesn't exist. It already exists. What we are saying is that we need to capitalize on that system.
It is a potential breeding ground for anarchy.
Well, let me just clarify something. And I think you must acknowledge that we are having an abnormal situation in the sector of higher education. Number one, the president announces fee-free higher education moments after the official closing of the application process of the university. Not only that, but also of that of NSFAS. And today they come and say the driving force of this model will be ran through the NSFAS. And the very same NSFAS, it was closed long before Zuma had announced all these adjustments and whatnot. You'd remember that he adjusted the annual income from 125,000 to 350. By the way, those who were earning between 125 to 350, they couldn't apply because they were not qualifying at that stage. But now they qualify given the provision of the Zuma announcement. And you are saying those people must be outside the system. The reason why I'm saying you must acknowledge that we're having a challenge. And of course, it is even intertwined with the fact that our people couldn't register on time, and why we must allow these walk-ins practically to happen, so that we offer the opportunity to those that did not have that opportunity. Remember, when you are in the deep bundus of Kwamashu, I mean, not even Kwamashu, it's not the bundus. I mean, deep in the rural areas, my brother, where you walk at least 7 kilometers every day to school for 12 years, by the way, with barefoot. Why you are expected to go to internet cafe in accordance to this cash system of theirs. In the village area, village where I come from, even that internet cafe, it takes 30 minutes to load a basic thing. I'm not speaking about to even attach a document. To load even a Facebook, you can't log in with those internets there. Why expected to do that? Here is a provision to offer those that were forgotten that the doors of learning are open. As I speak to you at Capricorn, there are already queues outside Peter Mokaba, already as I speak to you now. It shows that
I'm going to interrupt you. Unfortunately, we haven't got much time. But then consultations have not been made with all the necessary universities, and government has not come out in the open to reveal how much free higher education will cost and where that money will come from. But now here you are now telling students to flood institutions.
That's why we had
you are jumping the gun a bit here.
That's why we even met the department. We can't just Nicodemously raise things, right? We met the department, the deputy minister, we raised all these issues. We were given the assurance also that TVETs, they are not going to be paying registration. Even the students at the universities, those who qualify, right? So these are the issues that we're getting. Even the issue to say NSFAS will be the ones running this fees muscle. Running this fee-free education. We got them from that particular city. So it is, we engage with the department, we engage with the VCs, we engage with everyone who is interested to engage. Right now, as I speak to you also, the nursing, I'm sure that you know that there's a very serious crisis in nursing council. We are not only representing students at the universities and TVET, we are everywhere. We are like Holy Spirit, we are everywhere. So what happens there? The Gauteng department, they in fact, they sort of enroll about 10,020 students, nursing prospect nursing students. This year instead, they were supposed to open tomorrow. The process, everything was done. They passed all the tests and all those things that are required for you to be a student. Today, they are being told that that program is completely cancelled. There is no budget of that sort. At this critical point in time, hence we are calling every prospect nursing student to report to their closest nursing college, to go and register, to go to classes. Okay. They are starting tomorrow.
All right. Now, Fasiha, what do you think would be the proper funding model that would work under these current circumstances?
There's a number of options on the table, and I think that everyone's brought something slightly different, right? We've looked at the possibilities of the increasing of a corporate tax, which, before everyone jumps down my throat, internationally our South African companies are paying less of a corporate tax than they are in comparison to international standards. So that's the first potential way we can fund it. There's others looking about the reprioritization of spending. There have been people who have advocated, which is not something we necessarily advocate for, but there is also the opportunity of a graduate tax after a certain point. The fact of the matter, though, is it's not where's the money going to come from, right? There are many, many potential options, and there are many people who have already done the research. You know, we have our model. UCT actually has put together a team that's also doing the same thing. What we need to do now is, in fact, pull everyone into the same room. Everyone now needs to say, okay, here's option A, here's option B. What is the potentials of each one? What are the consequences? And then we can say, all right, option B works better than C. Therefore, we can then implement this. So we are at a space now, in fact, where the most difficult work needs to happen, the actual policy making of what free education means.
For this process to reach its fruition or to be successful, who are the main stakeholders and what should they be doing?
Look, obviously the main stakeholders are students. We have to bring them into, we have to be at the forefront of the discussion. But of course there's universities, and it's not just vice chancellors. You can have an agreement with the vice chancellor and have a very counter financial committee. So it's bringing them in as well. It's bringing in the Department of Higher Education. It's bringing in National Treasury. And then of course there's other elements of stakeholders in society, right? Where you need to bring in civil society to say, Hugh, this is the situation that we find ourselves in. Let's take it back now to students. Let's take it back into society. But one thing I do want to speak about, and it is important. Every year, this time of year, SASCO runs what we call the Right to Learn campaign. And it's something we've done for many, many years. And I really need to say that we have incredible volunteers who spend their hard, no one's on holiday here. They've given up their beds, they've given up their accommodation, their own meals, and they are right now in every single institution of higher learning, including TVETs, and are available on the ground for students. So please, please take full advantage of that. Comrades are on the ground, and you can always contact us with our social media.
Okay, unfortunately, we haven't got much time, but I'm going to give both of you 20 seconds. We've seen incidents of stampedes happening at the Capricorn TVET College in Limpopo, University of Johannesburg, and Free State. Would I be correct to say that SASCO and EFF Student Command should take responsibility for those incidents?
No, I don't think so at all. I think the fact of the matter,
encouraging students to jump due process.
The lack of security and the inability to put in the right systems by the universities who know every year that they are walk-ins. That is where blame should be laid. And more importantly, the fact of the matter is our job is to always
So now you're blaming the universities for having inadequate security?
That students have the ability to actually go to universities.
So you are blaming the universities for inadequate security?
Number one. And number two, the universities do not have adequate systems for walk-ins that they know are going to happen every single year. Okay. So it's not fair to blame student activists.
I think, my brother, next time when you invite us here, you must, we would wish to come on our own, because while what we're experiencing is totally unacceptable. I mean, the leader here of SASCO, she's saying they've been there on the ground, they're assisting accommodation and whatnot.
I don't think
as I speak now as the president of the EFF Student Command,
you're quite right. We need a different platform, a separate platform.
Yes, that is fine.
Asking you, would I be correct to say that the EFF Student Command should be held fully accountable for encouraging students to jump due process, leading to those incidents at those universities?
We must be fully held accountable of creating education hunger in this country. We must be fully held responsible for removing young people off the street of Flaga, of Nyaope, and bringing them to the gates of the institutions of higher learning.
All right.
There's nothing wrong about that.
Thanks so much to you two for coming through this afternoon. We appreciate your time. Well, that was the EFF's Student Command, Puti Keetse and Fasiha Hassan from SASCO, speaking to us about all things free higher education, and as most institutions start their academic year for 2018.